Oh, Aerith Gainsborough, what a lass. When it came to doing her character video, I'm most hyped for this one because I will go into her characterization a little bit because I feel they absolutely nailed it in this remake. They got all of Aerith's lovely, bubbly, mystical princess kind of vibe. You know when like the kids look up at Aerith in the game and they're just sort of like a little bit awestruck and they can't take their eyes off of her. I've found myself polarized into that kind of almost childlike awe a little bit. The way I observe Aerith and all of her different mannerisms there. Oh, of course, now that she has retained parts of her memory in this story, that the story almost entirely hinges on Aerith's action. How much she does and doesn't tell the group, how much she can and can't, the powers that she's coming back with that were not there in OG FF7, which in this video I'm going to be going really deep into. So buckle up your tinny hats and prepare your noodles to be whacked with the chair of juicy Laurie goodness. Let's go. To say Aerith has always been a big player in the FF7 story is, of course, a massive understatement. The crux of the story almost entirely has always revolved quite heavily around her, and for me, one of the most intriguing parts of the remake to dive into, though I am a Chloe boy, I'm a Cloud and Tifa, I ship that, I like that. I found myself gravitating more towards Cloud and Aerith over the years. The more I've evolved my view of the simplistic idea of love just being a ship, a fornicating, booty tapping kind of love, the more I've opened my eyes to the idea that Aerith is sort of like Cloud's guru, that she's having to teach and mold him, that she is the counterbalance to the despair that Sephiroth is trying to infuse into poor Claude's soul, and the idea that she has this goal, this mission, this role to play, even assigned by the planet, that while it exists, it's still shrouded entirely in mystery. And of course we saw this in the remake, huge. Aerith didn't exactly have all of her memories, she was slowly regaining them, also losing them, which I'll quickly throw in there. I want to thank Sleep Easy so much and give them huge credit. Please check out the video I'm going to link below because this video just blew my perception on this game wide the hell open. But also the other sources I'm going to be using is Maiden Who Travels Through the Planet and On the Way to a Smile. These are 2005, for all intents and purposes, canonical ultimanias. One was commissioned by Nomura, the other one was written by Najima, and this was all around the time in 2005 that they were writing scenarios were a remake to happen. It was around the same time we had the PS3 FF7 tech demo, so it's definitely valid, it definitely counts towards the story as we know it now, because these are kind of like glimpses into Square Enix's mindset when they were teeing all of this crazy ass stuff up, and a huge amount revolves around Aerith. I'll give you a little quote to start us off. So this is from Maiden Who Travels Through the Planet, and now that we have this Aerith, which I want to say Aerith as well as Aerith, I've used this distinction to describe future Aerith, or like OG timeline Aerith, who'd been in the live stream and is now coming back. If we call her Aerith just for the fun of it, and Aerith, the current timeline one, it'll make the distinction easier, but Aerith in the world of Mako learned that the concept of time and distance were different here from the surface. There was no way that Aerith could have seen all of them, all of the events, but they were inscribed into the memories that had surpassed time and were linked together as a whole. This hinted that time was moving into the future in the world of the living, and as new memories from the surface merged together with the planet, new life could be brought into the world as the energy of the planet is delivered, and this cycle told her how time flowed by one period after another. So after reading something like that and seeing this Aerith who is transferring these memories, who is getting this grasp of these plot ghosts and these future events that she can't out and out tell the group about, and even if she does, the ghosts intervene, and not only to prevent actions, to prevent destiny. Sleep Easy made a really great observation, but the plot ghosts the whole game weren't just feeding memories, they're also taking them away. I love this. I can't believe I didn't catch this. So for example, there's scenes where Cloud is about to discuss something very, very important, and then plot ghosts show up during this scene. And then what you'll notice is they then get distracted by a cat, but you still see Cloud in the background. And he's sort of like lost in thought, like he's trying to remember what he was just saying. And this same thing happened with Hojo when he nearly gave away that Cloud was a soldier earlier than he should know. He gets whisked away, and next we see him, he's just stood there, like all befuddled, like he's trying to remember something. So the idea that the ghosts are actively intervening and controlling people's memories and their minds and their actions, and I do want to use and stress this word, controlling, because it's going to be a huge part of this game. In fact, I believe the entire crux of this story, from what we'll dive into in this video, and of course this is always tied into what I see as Aerith's real goal, is that she is trying to polarize humanity and the live stream towards the positive side of the polarity. So I'm talking about the word polarity and the positive and negative, and I want to clarify this. I've been really interested in something called the Law of One recently, just as a think piece, just to watch it and formulate my own opinions on it. But this was a piece that was channeled in the 1980s and talked about this world as we live in now. And just follow me, because you don't have to believe any of this, that there is a natural polarity of power in the universe, and that people can evolve their consciousnesses on either side. Either side is neither out and out wrong, like neither is inherently wrong. Both are equally valid paths, but one is a bit more roundabout than the other. So the path of negativity is the service to self path. It's the path that someone can accumulate power via control, domination, through manipulation, and all of those other what we call negative, or I don't want to say evil, because what we'll see in this video is good and evil are very fluid terms, and Square Enix have really brought that through in this remake. They've put this nuanced grey area, especially the way that they've presented sort of the similarities between, say, Barrett and President Shinra, even the conversations they had, even between Sephiroth and Aerith, between Minerva and Aerith. Which, as you'll see in this title, I'm calling this a Minerva versus Aerith theory, that these two are now opposing each other and they're going to battle it out. And not only am I convinced from Sleepeasy's incredible amount of work and detail and the symbolism and the connections that they found, I'm convinced at this point that Minerva both could and should arguably appear in this remake. Maybe even Genesis, but hear me out. So yeah, you've got that negative polarity, control, and then you've got the positive one, which is of course free will. It's the service to others path. It's the path of compassion and doing the right thing and having mercy. And I see both of these as appearing in the remake, not only because they're out and out showing it to us in a lot of scenes, but and framing the narrative that way, but also they're doing it in very discreet, symbolic ways. They're using flowers, the differences between yellow and purple flowers, which this gonna blow your mind big time. But even back in 2005, one of the huge things that they described with Aerith in her journey in the live stream and the things she learned, other than the fact that she acquired the knowledge of Sephiroth's plan and had to go back, find a way to go back and warn Cloud about it, but she wanted to appear to Cloud in a way that he remembered her. Now we have Aerith remake. She also learned how Sephiroth is persisting indefinitely. Not only did she learn about time and how to essentially kind of control it, and that's not really an exaggeration. There's a line that says, because of her experience throughout her life of speaking with the planet, even since she was young, she had built up a lot of patience with it and was raised so that she could retain her own consciousness and not lose her personality. What? So she learned how to hold on to her own individual identity, her own memories. So is it any surprise we now see this remake and Aerith is the one who's remembering most of the stuff, who is having to dance around the hot coals? And again, I've talked about the 50 different Reddit linked parts of areas in the remake where Aerith basically gave the game away. That she knew more than she knew. Now, I've already said before, I don't think she is out and out Aerith from the future. That she is essentially Aerith, a new fresh character doing this timeline, but that information is coming back to her. That she has this connection to her other self, who is intervening, feeding stuff, influencing. Her intuition is bringing it through in many different areas. But I'd even go as far as to say out and out is appearing in the game. Now I'm going to be going to, for this, the date scene where Aerith, I believe, appears to Cloud and tells him not to fall in love with her. This was by far the biggest, whoa, this Aerith knows more about Cloud. Like she's thanking Cloud for all the memories, all the times they've spent together. And of course it makes no sense at this part in the game. They've known each other a couple of days. And I really think this scene, especially because Aerith is not actually present. She's appearing to Cloud, and you'll notice that when Cloud tries to touch her, he can't do it. Whenever this has happened in the universe before, that's always been when someone's been in the live stream. And as well, what you notice in the scene is, of course, we're in Aerith's house. So there's the huge waterfall, big body of water, which we'll talk about a lot later. Being that water is the symbolic representation of the live stream, and that whenever a body of water is present, we can more or less say it's a bridge between time and space. That the live stream, the other side, can contact this one. Actually, I'll quickly go into that now, because I've talked about it in my first playthrough when Marlene is doing the water cannon. She sees the droplet of water, she can contact Barrett through it. We've seen this all the way back through like Advent Children. Tifa, she sees a drop of water and she thanks Aerith through it. We've seen Zack appear in spaces of white where there was water on the floor, where he was able to contact like Angel and get messages from him. Even in Crisis Core, notice when Zack's dying and he's staring up at the rain, and then it flashes to Aerith and she's looking up at the rain, and they kind of have this connection. This has happened so throughout the series, and to see it even now in the remake, like even the big scene again with Zack at the end, notice it starts raining, and when they cross, it's raining on both sides, and then Aerith and Zack kind of clock each other. It's massive. It is such a reference to the live stream that I really see this scene where we were in the other white space. Notice there was water on the floor. This white crazy space, and then the meteor comes pounding through and it just sort of blows the water away. And there's so much subtle narrative like that going on. So much being told and hinted to us, not even just through visual representations like this, even just like colors, even like themes. I was just yesterday doing the train graveyard section and observing how much it symbolizes like the far plane, or not symbolizes, but it's synonymous with the far plane way more than just the simple Shinra 10-2 Easter egg that a lot of people are dismissing. If we go to this scene, the Hymn of the Faith is actually being played into the theme during the train graveyard.
All this time, you were waiting for someone to come and play with you.
So there's even like audio cues. The fact that these beings, these children are manifesting, so these emotions are lingering, these sad, lost souls are lingering on the planet, and it's through Aerith contacting them that they're able to find peace and sort of dissolve again. And I completely see this scene as Aerith having powers that Aerith acquired, because we go to the Maiden Travels Through the Planet again. It talks hugely about her going into the live stream, meeting all these different souls, ones who are staying around because of either intense love that they never got to express, or because of intense regret. And she meets all of these different souls and she literally helps them move on. It's kind of like she sends them very far plane-ish. And it talks a lot about how memories can coalesce on the planet and in the live stream, how they can stay individualized. So I'll read you a little bit of Aerith in the live stream. As an entity of consciousness, her thoughts and feelings were only expressed as waves, she admitted. Similarly, the huge number of memories in the live stream also reached her as sort of waves. All around her, she heard whispers of how if you didn't retain a strong ego, you would soon no longer know which consciousness belonged to you. And what we see with Aerith is that she meets all of these different characters. She meets Jesse in the live stream. She even meets Dine. And actually in one scene with Dine, it provokes her to think about Marlene strongly, and even Marlene's visage appears to her in the live stream. We now switch over to this scene where Tifa is thinking very, very strongly about Marlene, and her image appears. And this goes so much deeper. I saw somebody ask the question, do you think that Aerith is an angel in the game? Like playing the role of an angel. Now, I don't know how I feel about angels and demons personally, but again, I'm going on the Law of One material, and that actually describes angels as being beings that have ascended this path, again, this polarity path. They've ascended so far towards the service to others path, the selfless path, the positive one, that they've essentially started seeing no separation between themselves and other souls that they meet and grow an affection for, that they decide to actually merge consciousnesses, and that angels are essentially social memory complexes, like the emergence of many, many souls. Now, I know this all sounds pretty out there, crazy and hippie, and dare I use the word spiritual, but spirituality has always been a theme appearing in FF7, and Aerith is no different. She's literally, if that is the definition of an angel, that is what Aerith is, because it says she meets other souls, including Sephiroth's. I mean, this is word for word. So the woman discovered that there was a growing number of spirits within the livestream who refused to be absorbed by it. While they were different from the man spirit, Sephiroth's, they rejected the livestream due to the same emotion as him: hatred. This is the result of his influence reaching the surface, she thought. The woman drew closer to the souls that had entered the livestream, spirits filled with hate, and she tried to heal them. And beneath the surface of enmity were hidden memories from their lives as normal people. And while unremarkable, they had many joyous memories. She released those thoughts and dissolved them into livestream. So like she helped them release those negative thoughts. And the woman realized now she had found a solution. However, more and more spirits steeped in spite, they appeared. It was too much for her to bear, and she rushed through the live stream. On and on it goes until eventually it says that she began to merge her consciousnesses with many, many spirits to counter the negativity that Sephiroth bring in. She had more spirits on her side now. But even so, the hatred borne by Sephiroth did not decrease. I'm going to stop there because this next part is nuts. But yeah, I've talked about this stuff in my Sephiroth video, how the illusion and the flashback Sephiroth, the ultimania states there's 4 different Sephs in this game, and that some of these Sephiroths aren't even a Sephiroth. They're more just like other people's memories, like literally other people's interpretations and view of who Sephiroth was. He actually embodies that. He allows that to bring him back to the surface. So these aren't really true representations, but it gives, of Sephiroth that is, but it gives you an idea how fluid the concept of like memory and even the souls that people connect to. There's a specific part, and this is where it gets so far plainish, that you need to know the person, like them for it to literally be a loved one or family member. And of course, Tidus and Yuna, when they go to Farplane and the rest of the gang, that's exactly who appears to you. Only someone that you knew or loved. And in fact, when Aerith goes to the live stream, she wants to contact Cloud because she can see he's super depressed, like spinning out in Advent Children, and she wants to comfort him. But to be able to do so, she needs to actually tell the planet what her relationship with him is. So the quote is, "I was hoping my words would reach Cloud." Aerith puffed out her cheeks, looking a little displeased, and Aerith thought maybe she should clarify her affections towards Cloud here, to the planet. Then maybe they would be seen as family or lovers. During her lifetime in Midgar, she felt many souls of the ones that had tried to confess their love, those that still had those feelings and had the feelings left behind them so they could strongly retain their consciousness as a whole. But does that mean I'll disappear as soon as I meet Cloud? I wonder if that's what's happening, or is there something else I've still got to do? I love this line. I love this line, especially when, again, we go to the train graveyard and we see that young Aerith, and I really took this as an interpretation that this was Aerith as a young girl, that she never had any friends, that her friends were imaginary, and that she was always putting up this really bubbly, lively personality because it came from a deep-rooted insecurity that people would leave her. That she's had so many people leave her in her life, and maybe that's why she puts on this like super forthcoming act. But I see it differently now. This young little Aerith is playing with ghosts. She's forming bonds with them, playing hide and seek with them, and in her own pure, unaware, innocent, pure little state, she's actually helping these bereaved souls move on. And so when she runs off and plays hide and seek and then turns around and they're gone, she's essentially sending the souls, in my opinion, just like she's doing in the live stream here. She's sending them. She is so Yuna. So freaking Yuna for all intents and purposes. And that's why I see whether you want the universes to be connected or not, even though Qatar said in this interview, I mean, just watch it.
FF7 and FF10 take place in the same world.
Ready? Oh! Whoa! Who's right now? And our out says yes. The Jima obviously thinks very much yes. But even if you want to treat it like a little Easter egg and not buy into it too much, that's fine. Because I definitely see the reason why they've linked 10 and 7, even for fun, is because of how similar the far plane and the live stream mechanics work. And I think that's become definitely more and more prevalent in this remake. So what's the point? What's the goal? What's the motivation of Angel Aerith coming back from the live stream, transmitting herself back onto these events to try to undo Sephiroth's plan? Well, we definitely know that she's aware of Sephiroth's plan, but even in that, even in the ultimania stuff, it never stated out and out what Sephiroth's goal is. We actually get more of a hint on what her goal is. So I've spoken a lot about what I think Aerith's goal has always been, which is to restore humanity to a Cetra mindset. You know, I've always said there's no reason why if Cetra were once human and they turn human, they can't turn back. If they embody all of the mindset and the compassion for the planet that the Cetra had. And Sleep Easy found great evidence for this, especially with Angeal back in Crisis Core. Notice the experimentations, and the cloth that he's cut from is no different to Sephiroth and Genesis, but when he takes on his wing, it's a white wing. Now, of course, the white wing, just like the white materia is to the black materia, they are the polar opposites. I like the idea that these wings represent the spiritual intention of the person when they acquired it. In fact, Square Enix have more or less out and out said this themselves, that the black and white wing represented just that. The heart of the person taking on the wing. So when we see Angeal taking on a white wing, Angeal who, had huge love, compassion for other people. In fact, that was his downfall, because he cared about people so much. But Sleep Easy found that even on his fan bio, he has like this magazine of flowers, and it talks about him being a flower nature loving guy. So the same wing that Zack, when he sees it, he's envious of. He looks at it and he says he wants it. He sees that white wing as being the freedom that Zack really loves, the boundless, terrifying freedom. And I don't see it as any small thing by any stretch of imagination. The way that Angeal was there to meet Zack upon death with a hand outstretched, the same way that Aerith did at the end of FF7, the same way that Aerith did even for Kadaj. Like Kadaj, who followed the path of negative polarity, the service to self. Even he was accepted by Aerith into the live stream. And now when I look at Advent Children, I see, when Cloud even called Aerith mum, when Kadaj called him mum, they even make a joke of it, like Zack saying this one's too big to adopt. And Aerith was wondering, why is everyone calling me mum all of a sudden? Well, again, I go to this. The planet itself knows that Aerith is an important thing, that the rest of the planet is aware of her, that they're even beginning to join with her. Spirits are beginning to join. In fact, even the reason the live stream came at the end of OGFF7 is clarified. It says that the young flower girls' cry to help the planet shook the entire live stream's consciousnesses, and they responded to her plea to come and help the planet. She is more or less, I don't think it's even exaggerated to say, becoming almost a goddess of the live stream. She's becoming an angel. She's becoming a figure that's almost divine in aspects, that people now even seeing her as a mother, like the divine feminine of the live stream that represents the compassionate path, the one that I don't even believe a lot of the Cetra embodied. And this is where we're going to be going into Aerith versus Minerva, because the idea of control, whether it's for good or bad, the idea of controlling destiny, of controlling free will so that events have to happen, regardless of the person. So is Zack Fair, for example, he was a man who embodied dreams and compassion and all of the other lovely, wobbly, jubbly, puppy traits that Zack has. we now see that even he was destined to die, and that the plot ghosts were there to ensure it happened. That for me just rubbed me the wrong way. The first time I heard that, for the same reason I called Bahamut out in 15. You know, before we knew it, I said, they ain't something right about Bahamut, because Final Fantasy is always kept to that one strong element that whether it's good or bad, or whether the beings that are using this level of control portray themselves as such, fundamentally controlling free will is a no-no in Final Fantasy. That's what our heroes have always stood against and stood for. You know, we go to 13, we go to 12, we go to 10, the 15, it just re-emerges all of the time. And here's where it's going to get good, because what Sleepeasy has found, I am completely on board with now, is that Minerva does not demonstrate the compassionate path in the slightest. She hasn't been in touch with humanity to actually have any humanity herself. Like any disconnected divine being, it has a view of superiority of itself, and that it gets to decide the fate and outcomes of things, no matter the cost or the lives or the cruelty that might be behind it. And we've seen that Minerva's a bit of a bitch. Poor Genesis only wanted to see her. He was like, oh babe, I love you, when he saw her. I was like, oh, I've been hankering to meet you for ages. And she fucks him off, basically lobs him down into the live stream just because he wasn't ready yet. And she's using him as a pawn, as an agent of her motivation in the game. Now, what is her motivation? I mean, who even is Minerva? She's the crisis core goddess, sure, but there's a huge argument to be had. And again, Sleepeasy's video was over 2 hours, so I can't go into all in it here. I'll leave a link, check it out if you want to question any of the things I'm bringing up. But the idea that she is a Cetra is steeped in quite a lot of evidence, that she may even have been one of the first Cetra to craft the earliest materias, specifically the earliest one, the protomateria. That is, by Sleepeasy's account and my conviction now, the entire crux of the story. Protomateria is so huge, and of course, if anyone doesn't know, protomateria is materia that Vincent uses to control chaos that is within him. Chaos is a being born out of Jenova, or should I say born to stop Jenova. In fact, most of these weapons were built because of the calamity of Jenova. And who built these weapons? Well, when we go to Minerva having a red orb, of course red is the summon materia. Master summon materia, if you get the huge one, take it to Bugenhagen. And we also know the significance and how powerful summons have been over this series. Minerva has it in her chest, and of course she has a lot of clockwork mechanical design on her as well. And every weapon we've ever fought has had that red gem in their chest. In fact, it's the point we attack most of the time, whether it is Ruby, Diamond, even Omega. The red materia appeared at the top of Minerva's tree. I think when you see all of that put together, especially Genesis, who had that sleek, juicy, shiny red sword, and when he takes on his final form in Crisis Core, it's a mechanical form. He literally becomes a weapon, and the point we attack is the red gem that appears in his sword. Because Genesis is, a pawn, a servant of Minerva, an agent, should I say. And all of the weapons are as well. I'm convinced that it was Minerva who imprisoned Jenova at the Northern Crater, the same place that the weapons come from. Notice that. Notice the imprisonment location of Jenova is where the weapons are placed. But Fowler said the weapons were never used. Why? Sleepeasy revealed it all, because the proto-materia was in place. The weapons didn't need to be used. The proto-materia that Vincent can use to control chaos is exactly what allowed Jenova to remain imprisoned, because the protomateria is basically the expelling of the impurities. The planet has had a filtration system the whole time. Lucretia's Cave is really giving that away when it talks about the waters being the quelled impurities of the live stream. Even the line that it is the protomateria that will stop the coming of the Advent. The Advent, of course, being Advent children, and what happens in that? Everyone starts getting infected. We see that the Jenova's corruption isn't getting quelled anymore, and it's starting to now seep into people's bodies. Terra Corrupt, or essentially what they call negative live stream. Again, negative polarity is infecting the planet. It's what the remnants even bring those shadow beasts out of, or what Sephiroth brings down. All of that black swirly is Terra Corrupt. And it's getting out of hand now because proto-materia, which throughout the entirety of Dirge of Cerberus was pretty much what the Sviets were after. Rosso the Crimson, oh god, she was lovely, she was. Like, she tries to acquire even Shulk. She's doing the data fragments of Lucretia's mind to locate where she is, because Chaos is prophesied to be born from that cave. But we find out that Shulk is actually, again, Sleepy's, I can't believe you found these links. Shulk is actually being informed by someone secret to try to find this protomateria. And when we go through all of the routes of who it could be, Genesis emerges very, very quickly that it is Genesis who is orchestrating the Sviets to try to get the protomateria from Vincent. And Genesis is, of course, we see him appear, he picks up Weiss, says there's so much to do. That link was definitely made, that they're working together. And of course, who did Genesis work for? Minerva. So the idea that Minerva is having to use the weapons and having to now, if the Harbinger of Fate, by my theory, is also a weapon, was even trying to reset Destiny, and every single turn our main protagonists have killed off these weapons. But the idea that she's trying to get the protomateria back to essentially put the filter back on Jenova. I love the way Sleep Easy framed this. Does it make sense that our main characters get to kill all of these weapons, all of these systems that the planet has put in place for its own survival and protection, even if it means at the expense of humanity? Again, I really emphasize that all of humanity probably did, and by again Katase's logic, they did all die out. The planet prioritized itself over humanity. I can only see this almost tyranny, this controlling method that beings like Minerva, who again don't have humanity, that they use these weapons, these hard reset mechanisms, these fail safes that are very uncompassionate and last resort, because it can't see the worth or potential of humans, and it's not going to put the planet on the line with it. I mean, humanity hasn't really given them a reason to think otherwise. But regardless, do we really think that we get to destroy all of these weapons and, like Sleep Easy said, just walk away from it? Just walk away with it, destroy these things, even without the full weight of understanding the implications of the actions that they are taking. Again, Aerith in the game, she isn't even certain about breaking Destiny and going down this path. Like, she really struggles with it. And no, she finally comes to the decision, but she doesn't say it's good or bad. She says it's boundless, terrifying freedom. Like, whatever happens from here on out, it could be a real shitfest. And that same uncertainty, we've moved, the planet had all of these things in place to keep a path of certainty, but limited potential. We're now going into uncertainty with unlimited potential. And this is written about even from the planet's perspective. In Maiden Who Travels Through the Planet, Aerith says, it makes sense. There's a meaning to all of this. There must be some reason why I haven't merged with the lifestream yet and why I am still here the way I am. Like, how was I the only one in the world that could summon Holy to the planet? There might still be something left that I have to do. Just when the thought crossed her mind, Aerith felt a little commotion from the planet. It wasn't from the individual consciousnesses, but the planet as a whole to confirm what she was thinking. I see. I wonder where it is. Aerith's question was answered with silence. The planet too had yet to know what it was. Woo! Woo! So the planet knows that Aerith is significant. The consciousness that are responding and merging with her knows that she is important, but none of them know what it's for, even Aerith herself. And I think that the planet doesn't know. Again, even though this is written in 2005, if we apply it now to the remake, because this is the part that Destiny has been broken, the planet can't see beyond the singularity point, beyond the point of Destiny that it was controlling, that it had the hand in the events of. Now our crew have broken it. The planet doesn't know. It doesn't know what she's there for. So when we now go to Minerva, who is an agent of divine retribution, I think is the best way to say it, with these weapons, something we've had to stand up and fight against repeatedly, I could now see her turning on Aerith and the crew. It makes complete sense for the same reason Sleep Easy pointed out in Before Crisis. Jade Weapon was there to beat Zirconia. The Turks destroyed Zirconia. Jade Weapon's logic was the thing that just destroyed that must be an even bigger threat, and it turned on the Turks. The idea and the gravity of that our teammates may now potentially have not only made themselves an enemy of Sephiroth and Jenova, but now of the planet too, and that we have The planet gunning after us for its own survival versus those of the future of humanity. That's huge. That is huge. And when I look or finally realize how deeply rooted this protomateria has been throughout the entirety of the game, it's significant and should definitely be getting a representation when we meet Vincent and Lucretia, to see a resolution on exactly what was Genesis and Weiss and that crisis called Dirge of Cerberus link that they've long thought about. To think that they're now going to use this remake to give us answers on it, I think it's going to happen. And not, again, I always emphasize, not in a way that overpowers the original FF7 story. They've said they're still going to follow the same structure, the same beats, but now when we see all of these subtle hints, and we'll go into those in a minute, that are being weaved into the 7 remake story, exactly what Nomura switched to, saying that, originally it was like, oh, we're breaking the canonicity, which we all interpreted as, so they're not using the universe, it's all irrelevant. He then switched it to, no, we're threading it into the backdrop of the story, and it all has a lot of significance. I see the entire point of this remake to move it to incorporate all of these different elements that have been built up, and they are wonderful at its core. They're deep. To get a final resolution on what happened to the planet, to finally see Genova and Sephiroth purged from the live stream, so we're not always left in this indefinite, never be just a memory limbo. I'd love to see an answer on that. And in fact, I think it's just the entire point of the game to restore humanity to Cetra. Even if we go to what Aerith says her goal is, like, she actually states that to be her goal. The positive path and the negative path. Like, I've always said she's trying to do it with Cloud. Now I've gone further with that theory and said, no, he's going to become a vessel, and it will only be through his gravitating towards mercy instead of judgment, the positive path, that he'll be able to give humanity a new future. I do believe it will hinge on Cloud in some way. Now, whether he's a vessel and he comes back 500 years later, that's another point, but that is the premise, I believe, especially when Maiden Who Travels to the Planet says that after figuring a way to counter Sephiroth and the negativity that he's bringing to the stream, so it's not just corruption, like it's not just Genova Cells, Geostigma, Terror corruption, it's also the corruption of hatred. He's causing hatred and pain and suffering to enter the live stream, and through bringing souls onto her side, Aerith realizes that she has a solution, and so she goes rushing through the live stream in search of other souls to help her, primarily ancients on the verge of diffusing. These fragments of consciousness accept her undertaking and merge with her. Again, she's like an angel. And when she found fragments of consciousnesses of people she had once known, pitifully few in number, she infused them with her own memories and sought their assistance. She had more spirits on her side now, but even so, the hatred born by that man did not increase. Then she thought of Cloud, living in his reality up on the surface. In order to reduce the hatred lingering in the live stream, in order to reduce it, she would have to remove the hatred flooding the real world. The woman wondered if Cloud could help her with this. However, that might lead to Cloud getting hurt as well. The Cloud she knew had a very fragile heart. Whoa. Whoa. So besides all the other powers and acquisitions that she got through this timeline that are now appearing in the remake, that's out and out stating it. That whatever Cloud, what she's grooming him, what she's trying to... Grooming doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right. Whether she's trying to strengthen Cloud's heart and his resolve, whether she's trying to counter Sephiroth's torment, his despair, is to strengthen him for just that. To try to balance towards the path of positivity, and to take this even further, let's go to the flowers. Let's get on with it. The flowers. There's yellow and purple in the game. It appears all over the place. Of course, Aerith appears with the first yellow flower, puts in his lapel. It's when lovers are reunited. Yellow flowers are the ones that make up the bulk of the flower bed in the church, place where obviously in Advent Children, after it's destroyed, a body of water appears and does the healing. And I even now quickly, before I go into the purple flowers, think that, when Aerith went into a trance-like state, when she tried to tell them about who the real threat was more than Shinra, she does this.
Follow them, the yellow flowers.
Follow the yellow flowers. I definitely see that as almost her saying, while it could possibly be similar to, they talk about how yellow flowers symbolize reunion. Notice how both sides are using the term reunion. Aerith's side as well as Sephiroth's side. I find that curious. But I see it as follow the path of positivity. Follow the yellow flowers and what they represent, what the white wing represents, what the white materia represents, rather than the purple. Now here's where the purple comes in. Not only did we have one on President Shinra's lapel, is that what that's called? Is that a lapel? I don't know. Mayor Domino's got a mix between, like I see him as like a bit of a mix between, like he's a bit corrupted, but he's also got a bit of a decent side to him. It's appeared in other parts of the universe, so back in Angel Mother's house. Of course, even the Benora apples are purple, and Sleep Easy made a point from someone else who made a point that flowers become apples. Before apples are apples, they're flowers first. So if the purple apples were once purple flowers, we've got the connection with Benora. Of course, purple has been getting used throughout the entire game to represent corruption. The Harbinger, Sephiroth, Genova's blood, the enigmatic spectres that are corrupted. So we see one on Shinra's lapel as well. We also see one on the coin, Rufus's coin. Now, we don't know it's purple because it's silver, but it was the ultimania that cleared up by Audrey again. Shout out to Audrey. That it was a mandragora flower, a purple flower, literally told to us in the ultimania. I think the coin's even got like fear and pride written above it. So the idea that this colour scheme is being used, just I feel like they've added a third one. Like white and black material was there back in OG, it then got expanded into white and black wings over the compilation. Now purple and yellow flowers are being used for the exact same poles that neither are wrong, and this is what I want to take with this video. Dark doesn't exist without light, the same way that mercy doesn't exist without the concept of judgment there. You know, they define each other like up and down. The Tao Te Ching, another philosophy I follow and I really love, it talks about this in huge depth. It talks about how even the idea of beauty, if you believe in beauty and you see beauty in the world, well, by definition, you also have to see ugly. You know, they define each other, they measure each other like height does against width. They are inherently linked, intrinsically connected, and you cannot separate the two. Similar to the Sephiroths, you know, I've talked about this before. You need mercy, you need judgment, you need the hardness, determination, will and grit, and the more, just that hard qualities in life to be the balance to calm, peace, will, stillness. And I've just hit the timestamp of this video, so if you made it this far, god dang, you love it. You love FF7 lore. Congrats to you, you're a legend. So I'm going to round this video out on a really far out there speculation. I'm going to go big with it. My theory is this, that Aerith will not only become a goddess, that she already is one. Bloody hell, Pez. First it's God Cloud theory, now it's Aerith God theory. I mean, this is Final Fantasy, I'll just say, so it's not that out there for Square Enix to elevate their characters to this kind of status, and I can see it happening with Aerith because think about it, she is a being that has not only merged with other consciousnesses and started rallying spirits onto her side, very similar to Ra. The channeled material I've been talking about, the Law of One, is also sometimes called the Ra material. And Ra states that it is just that. It's a being that has merged with many, many other spirits, just like we've seen Aerith in On the Way to Smile and Maiden Who Travels Through the Planet. So even if you see the Maiden Who Travels Through the Planet as uncanonical, On the Way to a Smile definitely is. And what was Ra? Well, Ra was worshipped in Egyptian times as just that, a god, a deity. That was the reverie and status that the Egyptians viewed Ra as, someone who was here to teach lessons, bring new meanings to the planet. And if that's not what Aerith is doing here, again, someone who is able to rouse every consciousness in the live stream. Think of how huge that is. It was her voice that allowed the live stream to come to the aid of Holy at the end of the game. That's massive. Not only that, the planet knows Aerith is so important that precedes even its own understanding. I think Minerva is like the old goddess who is no longer kind of required in the world. You know, just like the weapons, they were made, but they're not required. You know, and the team destroy the weapons because they go for Genova. I feel like Minerva is slowly being faded out and, dare I say it, replaced by Aerith, a system of control that the planet has been imposing for a long time. Battling another system of control only leads to more control, only leads to more tyranny. I cannot see Minerva being the resolution of this game. Similar to Genesis, getting the protomateria can't be the solution to the game, because when we see that Genesis has a black wing, similar to Sephiroth. And I just realized I've been saying the term angel, but that's exactly what these are called. It's one-winged angels. These are beings that are only half of the required poles to become the ultimate being of balance, to become the gift of the goddess. They don't embody both aspects, neither did Enjil. Again, he collapsed under the weight of his own, dare say it, compassion. So my question then is, who could be the complete angel? Again, I've spoken about Aerith, but let's take it even further. What if we are, this whole game, this whole symbolism, these yellow, these purple flowers, these wings, is all building towards the prophecy of Loveless, and that the gift of the goddess being Aerith, is Cloud. Follow me, follow me. I've been saying this for the longest of time, that I believe Cloud is so unique to this story because he is fashioned by both Sephiroth and Aerith. He's fashioned by dark and light. Through these two figureheads, these two teachers, Cloud has learned quite the abundance of polarities, up and down the negative and the positive polarity. What if he is the gift of the goddess? What if, like I theorized in my God Cloud theory, Cloud's resolution as a human being is what leads to the salvation of mankind in one way or another, and that is the gift that is everlasting? That all of this prophesizing, going to Loveless, the wind that creeps silently over the water surface. Again, we've dissected the significance of water. The War of the Beasts, I won't go into this because this is some Sleep Easy shizness I'll break down in another vid. I really want to collab with Sleep Easy, so it can come straight from the horse's mouth. But even that, like the War of the Beasts, the idea that this is like the sons of Shinra, every single one, whether it was President Shinra, Rufus, Lazard, they've all had this expectation to be warmongers, to perpetuate violence, and it is that violence that leads to uprising of Avalanche. This is really even very relatable to what we're seeing in the world right now, especially America with the protests that are going on. There's arguments and even studies about what are the benefits of violent protesting. Are they sometimes the catalyst, the bubbling pot that can be severe enough so that it can't be ignored, so that situations are brought to its head, and that violence can be what proceeds to peace? It's a really cool concept, and it runs even deeper when, let's think about it. I know some of you could be like, Genesis in the remake, I don't think he should be there, but like Sleepy's pointed out, he's already in it, and he's certainly already in it when we look at the Make-A-Noise. The Make-A-Noise that we fought, I can't believe it. You see they've got this weird bony-like structure coming out their back, specifically out of the same side, because that's the structure of a wing right there. Look at it, it's a freaking wing. I can't believe I didn't see it. And of course, it's deep ground that we fight these. So these are G-cell beings. These are G-cell creatures. So, and when we fight the larger one, notice the larger one has wings, or the structure of a wing, out of both sides of its back. This is something that Hojo's been trying to create for the longest of time. Something that is able to be as powerful as what G-cell and S-type soldiers are, but without the degradation, without the corruption, without Sephiroth lost his mind and Genesis' body degrades, is because these are both angels who are polarized on the negative, and negativity cannot self-sustain. It will always degrade, it will always corrupt, break down. It is inherently a system of chaos and death and not life. So what would counter the degradation? Well, that's what Genesis is trying to search for. I believe that's what Hojo is trying to search for. A balance of both the white wing and the black wing. And this experiment here was Hojo trying to find that being, trying to essentially create the gift of the goddess, a being so powerful that it is the successful experiment. All of these failed experiments, but of course they didn't work, because what did Hojo try to do? He tried to merge S and G cells, and we saw him even talking about trying to do this in the game, except this time think about why he's trying to do it with Aerith, breeding Aerith with S and G type cells. It's because what is within Aerith, the Cetrobud, something that is naturally connected to the planet, connected to life. I think he's trying to create a freaking god, a being of dark and light wings, a being merged between death and life, the life-giving blood of the Cetra and the water and the planet and the lifestream, merged with the corruption of Genova, the death, the parasite. What if the failed experiment, or the one that was so failed by Hojo's recognition he didn't even give it a tattoo, is Cloud? Cloud was considered so failed, he wasn't even worthy of a tattoo. The same with what Sephiroth says, he's only a puppet. But what if that failed puppet is going to be in fact the successful experiment, that he will ascend to that height of dark and light wing spread afar, the angel, the being, the god. And I don't want this to be really anime-ish, I don't want the 7 remake to end on bloody Cloud with a white and a black wing sailing up into the universe. But thematically is that where all this is going. That this is where this really intricately weaved narrative with all these flowers and all of this symbolism built up over the universe's worth of storytelling, that the ultimate message would be really poetic to be that you can't create what you're trying to create, Hojo, in a laboratory. This is something that cannot be artificially manufactured in test tubes, that what you're dealing with, what you're trying to create, is something that is based purely on spiritual intentions, on an individual, just like the black and white wing is, by Square Enix's admittance, the person's spiritual intention. It isn't something artificially made, it is something that can only be created through authenticity. To become the gift of the goddess everlasting, that is Cloud, and the goddess being Aerith, who replaces out Minerva. And I can see this finishing this video off because look at what Aerith, from OG to even in this remake, has continuously done with Cloud. She has always made sure that no matter what she does, she doesn't do it via control. And that's what I see happening in this game, that Minerva is wrong, Jenova is wrong, any system of control is wrong. And that is why Aerith, especially when we go to this scene where she doesn't want to fall in love with him, notice that she said to Cloud that it wasn't real. If he did think she was in love, he was in love with her, it's because it wasn't real. She's of course talking about Zack, because Cloud is a mix of Zack's emotions right now, and if he thinks he loves, it's because of Zack. And Aerith doesn't want Cloud to be Zack. Aerith wants Cloud to be Cloud. And when he responds and says, "I'm gonna come get you," and she says, "If that's what you want." From OG days, that's always what Aerith has been about. Even when the very last words that Aerith ever spoke to Cloud in OGFF7, it was to work on himself. No matter how dire the situation became, no matter how tempting or easy it must have been for Aerith to want to just tell Cloud all the answers, tell him about Zack, take an active hand in, giving him all the information. She never, with Cloud, went past that point of free will. She never treated Cloud like her agent, the same way that Minerva does Genesis, because she wants Cloud to be authentic, and authenticity is one of the founding pillars of self-discovery and self-evolution. And yeah, sometimes that also means you gotta eat the shit sandwiches that life serves you. I think it was the Buddha who said that life is suffering, and even the Buddha said that the negative poles exist in the universe. And that's when I go to the VR segment. I even think it's represented there. Notice when the live stream is traveling over, and the flowers that are sprouting are both purple and yellow flowers. Like, it could be saying that Jenova has infected the Cetra at this point, that this VR is showing, or that she's infected the machine. I don't like those interpretations. I prefer mine that this is a visual portrayal that both of these aspects exist in the universe, that they're natural, that they naturally spring into the universe. And that is the freaking theory! Goddess Aerith. I can definitely see the remake creeping into that kind of craziness, because again, this is just how much has all been built up over the years, and I feel like it should be included. Protomateria, look how deep and juicy that entire concept is, that there's been this secret going on in the backdrop, that Genesis has been working for Minerva to try to re-implement a piece of materia that brings control and balance in the world. But like I said, we are now breaking away from control, from the limited rails that the planet has placed humanity on for the entirety of the game. Like I said, Kitase believes it as well, that at the end of the game, all of humanity died. We saw it in Dirge of Cerberus, we saw it in Crisis Core, this constant talk about the planet being doomed to just die, no matter what, that its destiny was to one day just to crumble into dust, and that one day ruin will befall Gaia. And by Sephiroth's account at the edge of creation, when he said one day we'll be a part of it, there's the argument to be had that I've raised in the Sephiroth video, that to get to the greater life stream, the greater cosmos life stream, that Jenova needs to be purged from Gaia's stream, lest the universe, the wider universe, corrupt itself, which it's not going to do. The themes of cycles and rebirth have been so prevalent in this remake, especially when we even look at, say, the Cetra cutscene. Notice there's like 8 pillars around the Cetra building, like 8 pillars, the same as 8 Mako reactors. I've seen a few Reddit posts. I think Sleep Easy's latest part 3 covers it, but I'm not sure, I've not watched it all. I've seen a lot of people tie the remake into Norse mythology, and that there's like a Ragnarok type thing. Ragnarok, a cycle of destruction that leads to rebirth. When we see this being played out in this scene, and that of course Genova came, destroyed the Cetra. And now with all that we know about the protomateria, we apply that the planet's way of dealing with it back then was to put, again, a system of control in place to handle it. We're now replaying the cycle, but this time a different route is going to be taken. One that goes beyond Minerva, beyond her system of understanding, one that even goes beyond the knowledge of the planet, one that goes beyond a Genesis or a Sephiroth. Now we could even see OG FF7 as, again, another event. That was another Ragnarok, and all of these Ragnaroks led to nothing but destruction and death. To now see this remake as playing the 3rd rendition of the planet being Ragnaroked. But this time, we'll see Aerith replace Minerva as the goddess, Cloud will become the gift, he'll become the balanced angel that will lead to salvation. I don't know. My brain noodle is so fried. I love all of this. I really want to know what you guys think. That is my interpretation, that is my theory, my speculation on the kind of heights and direction that we could take it. Again, I always reiterate, I don't want the game to be overwhelmed or overburdened. But again, when we've even seen like Genesis Legacy is appearing in these Mechanoids in the game, when Vincent and protomateria will be appearing in the game, when weapons, again, diamond weapon, emerald weapon, ruby weapon, they're going to be appearing in the remake, and I would love to see way more context added to it, revealed to us, taken out of the shadows, because there is still so much in this universe that is shrouded in shadows. To see some of the prophecy of Loveless to come through, to see that Minerva is the controller of these weapons, to see what it is that Vincent has in his chest, and the things and the spheres and the scheming that has gone behind discovering it, to see all of that lead to this ultimate conclusion. I love it. I'm so goddamn freaking hyped for where this all goes. But let me know what you guys think. Go freaking wild with it. What you think about the symbolism they've added in. What could you really see all of this building up towards? I think it's going to be huge. I think that Square have definitely got their jollies off seeing us all reacting to this first part with how bold and daring and out there they've gone, and I can only see that trend to keep going, because FF7 lore is dank and juicy, and I'll probably cover Loveless a bit more, but comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Goodbye!